If you've been looking for a detailed tutorial on how to make rich and flavorful Nigerian stew from scratch, then I got you, because in this video, I'll be sharing all you need to know about making the best Nigerian stew with the perfect consistency. My name is Ehi and you're welcome to my kitchen. So the first thing to do when making stew is to focus on your tomato base, because you want your tomato base to be as rich and flavorful as possible. That is the first step to making delicious and flavorful stew. So for this, I'm using some tomato, some tatashe also known as paprika, some pepper, some shombo also known as cayenne pepper, onions, ginger, garlic, and yellow habanero pepper. Now when making this, I like to split my tomatoes in two because it helps the liquid to drain very quickly. For this particular video, I used the baking method. So for that, I like to spray some oil on the baking tray first so that the vegetables can come off easy after baking. Now I have a video up on this channel where I showed in details how to make your perfect tomato or pepper mix base for your stews and your jollof mixture. In that video, I showed you all of the things that you need to do, how to prep the vegetables, how to properly season the vegetables, for how long you need to cook or bake the vegetables and all of that. So you want to click the video up there to watch that video. That video is so detailed. It shows you all of the ingredients, spices and herbs that you need to use and alternative ingredients that you can use. So you need to watch that video. Please guys, forgive my voice. Baby girl is just recovering from malaria, so my voice is really rough. I'm going to be trying not to speak as much in this video. Once you are done preparing your tomato / pepper mix base, the next thing you want to do is flavor your oil. Now flavoring your oil is another important step to making rich and flavorful Nigerian stew. There are so many ways to flavor your oil, honestly, but the easiest way that I always use is adding onions, ginger or fresh thyme and rosemary to that oil, and then frying all the proteins that I'll be using for this stew in that oil. Frying the protein you'll be using for the stew in the oil is one of the perfect steps to flavoring your oil, because the proteins just infuse their flavors into the oil and it makes it rich. So for this kind of stew, I honestly like to use a mixture of proteins, fish, meat and what have you. Now you see these burnt onions and ginger, you don't want to throw it away. We need it later and you will see it. At this point, our vegetables are perfectly baked, so you want to just take it off of the baking tray and then blend till it is smooth. This is honestly the reason why you need to spray some oil on the baking tray if you are using the baking method, so that it doesn't stick. If you are using a heavy duty blender, you do not need to add any more liquid because there will be some leftover liquid in the vegetables. But if you are not using a heavy duty blender, please add water so that your blender no go spoil. Then you see our roasted onions and garlic. You want to add it at this point for that extra boost of flavor, and then you want to blend this till it is silky smooth. Once you have this consistency, you are good to go, and then we can proceed to making our stew. To make this stew, we need the oil we used in frying our protein, some onions and of course some seasoning. Now you want to saute that for a bit before adding in your tomato paste. After adding in your tomato paste, you want to mix this thoroughly till everything combines before proceeding to the next step, which is seasoning. Remember, we season in layers over here, and you want to start to season in layers at this point. For me, I like to mix all the spices and seasoning that I'll be using for the stew together and then begin to take from it little by little. A list of all ingredients used will be in the description box below, so you can check it out. Now once you've seasoned that, you want to mix this up and let this fry on low heat for about 7 minutes till it is no longer tangy and it has this crumbly consistency, or the oil is floating over the top. Then you know that it is time to add in our tomato or pepper mix. Now, can you see how rich and vibrant that pepper mix base is looking? And it looks so thick. At this point, you want to be very careful because it splashes really quickly. I even had to turn off my cooker at this point. So you want to mix that till everything combines thoroughly, and then you want to also season this. Don't worry that the consistency is looking really thick. We're going to be loosening up the texture or the consistency much later. So you want to add in the remaining of your seasoning, mix to combine, cover this and allow this cook on medium low heat for about 5 minutes, but you want to consistently check it so it doesn't burn. After about 5 minutes, this is what our stew is already looking like. You can see the oil is already floating over the top. It is looking very vibrant. It is lush. It is thick. So at this point, you can loosen up the texture with some meat stock. If you don't have meat stock, you can obviously use water, but meat stock is very important for that delicious, rich and flavorful taste. I thought I needed more seasoning, so I decided to add more before adding in all of my fried proteins. Now notice that this took about 5 minutes to actually fry. It is because we had already prepped the tomato mix. So if you are using raw tomatoes, obviously you are going to be frying this for about 40 minutes or thereabout for it to not be tangy. After adding in the proteins, you want to mix to combine, cover up and allow this cook on low heat for about 3 minutes. After about 3 minutes, our stew is literally almost ready. Can you see how lush this stew is looking? The vibrance is amazing, and can you see that consistency? If you like a much thinner consistency, you can actually loosen it up further, but this is exactly how I like my stew, with this consistency. Guys, you can see that you don't need to do too much. You just need to focus on the basic step and your stew go bang. Your neighbors will be asking, who's cooking that stew now? Who's cooking that stew now? Anyway, let me know if this was helpful. Don't forget to like, share and click the subscribe button to follow for more recipes. Bye.